To understand the tragedy of Joseph, we first have to look at how his father, Jacob, managed to avoid one. Returning to Canaan after decades in exile, Jacob faces a terrifying reunion. His estranged brother Esau is marching toward him with an army of 400 men. Facing this show of force, Jacob diffuses the situation through a specific physical act. He steps ahead of his family and bows to the ground 7 times as he approaches his brother. The gesture disarms Esau. He runs to Jacob, throws his arms around his neck, and they both weep, ending decades of bitter sibling rivalry. Jacob successfully neutralized a generational hatred by choosing absolute humility. He made himself small to secure his family's safety. But that hard-won peace is about to be destroyed from the inside. Fast forward a few years. Jacob has a 17-year-old son named Joseph, and he treats him with a degree of favoritism that eclipses all his other children. He gives this preference a physical form, the ketnet pasimim. This ornate, long-sleeved garment required slow, deliberate craftsmanship to weave, setting it apart from anything his brothers wore. In an agrarian society, long sleeves carry a specific socioeconomic weight. You cannot work in the fields wearing a garment like this. By putting this coat on Joseph, Jacob is signaling that his youngest son is destined for management, effectively exempting him from the manual labor expected of his older brothers. The psychological toll on the family unit is immediate. The older brothers become so consumed by resentment that they literally cannot speak a single peaceful word to him. This gift is a physical declaration of inequality. Jacob's choice to elevate one son above the rest reinfects his family with the exact same virus of sibling rivalry he had worked so hard to cure. Joseph then pours fuel on this fire by sharing his dreams. He starts with imagery pulled directly from their work in the field, describing a scene where the brothers are all binding sheaves of wheat. In the dream, Joseph's sheaf suddenly stands upright, while the brothers' sheaves gather around and bow down. This celestial diagram maps his second dream, taking his demand for dominance from the earthly to the cosmic. He tells his family that the sun, the moon, and 11 stars all bowed down to him. The contrast here is striking. Remember that his father Jacob secured the family's survival by choosing to bow down to his brother. Joseph is demanding his place in the family by insisting everyone bow to him. Joseph's insistence on his own supremacy acts as an accelerant. It pushes his brothers past jealousy and solidifies their intent to kill him. The breaking point arrives through a risky geographic decision by Jacob. He sends Joseph out of the valley of Hebron, alone, in his ornate coat, to track down his hostile brothers grazing the flocks. The brothers spot him approaching from a distance in Dothan, sarcastically referring to him as the master of dreams. Before he even reaches them, they form a cold, calculated conspiracy. They decide to murder him, throw his body into a pit, and blame a wild animal, stating they want to see what becomes of his grand prophecies. When Joseph finally arrives, there is no conversation. It is a sudden ambush. The very first action they take is tearing the symbol of his status from his back. The coat is violently stripped off his shoulders. A last-minute intervention by Reuben and Judah pivots the plan away from immediate execution. Instead of shedding his blood directly, they decide to drop him into a dry, empty water cistern to die. The favored son is now sitting at the bottom of a dark hole in the desert. It is the physical realization of a family that has completely fractured its foundation. As the brothers sit down to eat near the pit, they spot a merchant caravan of Ishmaelites and Midianites heading south toward Egypt. Judah engineers a pragmatic economic transaction. He convinces the others that there is no profit in letting their brother die. Instead, they negotiate the sale of their own flesh and blood to the merchants for 20 pieces of silver. The transaction is final. Joseph is pulled from the dirt and hauled away with the spices and resins, destined to function as property in a massive foreign empire. For the brothers, the logic is ruthless. By permanently removing the physical dreamer from their land, they are certain they have killed the dream. Now they have to manage their father. To cover their tracks, the brothers slaughter a goat, take Joseph's ornate coat, and soak the fabric entirely in the animal's blood. This specific lie carries a historical irony. Decades earlier, Jacob deceived his own father, Isaac, to steal a blessing. Now, Jacob's sons are using the same methods to deceive him. Look at the tools of the deception. Jacob once used the skins of a goat to mimic his brother and steal a blessing. Now his sons are using the blood of a goat to fake a death, mirroring the generational pattern of family betrayal. When they present the bloody evidence to Jacob, the ruse works. He recognizes the coat immediately and falls into a state of grief, convinced that his favorite son has been torn apart by a wild beast. The paradox of this story lies in its trajectory. Arrogance and envy fractured Jacob's family in Canaan. Yet, this exact betrayal was the catalyst that moved Joseph to Egypt, setting the stage for their future survival and the birth of an entire nation.